Welcome back to Grounded Tech, you wonderful person you. Today we are talking about the soon-to-be released, very soon in fact, Pixel 6a and the already excellent Pixel 6. We're going to go over the differences between the two devices, the prices, which one is more suitable for you. And if you enjoy the video or you would like to see some more Pixel content, a like on the video and a subscribe would be fantastic. So let us begin. So first up, let's just talk about the screen and the build. The Pixel 6a has a 6.1 inch 1080p 60Hz OLED panel, which is pretty good. It's okay. It's fine. Whereas the Pixel 6 has a 6.4 inch 1080p 90Hz OLED panel. It's worth noting as well that the 6a only has Gorilla Glass 3, whereas the Pixel 6 has Gorilla Glass Victus. I mean, obviously the Pixel 6 has the nicer screen out of the two, but for many, the refresh rate difference really isn't going to matter much. Some people, in fact, a lot of people that I know can't even see a difference in refresh rate. So that's not going to matter to them whatsoever. And of course, having that lower refresh rate on the 6a actually will help battery life as well. I had the Pixel 6 from launch for about 7 months, and I can tell you that's one hefty phone. A lot of people thought that it would be a reasonable size, let's say, but it's actually much bigger than you would expect, and a bit of a heifer. Let's just say it as it is. People who want a compact phone, or even just a slightly smaller phone, something that's not as unwieldy, you're probably not going to like the 6 too much. Whereas the Pixel 6a is nice and compact, and it's going to be lighter as well due to that plastic build. Worth noting as well that that will also help with durability, and it will cost less to get the phone repaired. We've got an optical fingerprint reader under the screen on both phones. Now, Google have seen sense after the Pixel 6 debacle with the fingerprint reader because, let's face it, it's a bit trash. I mean, it's alright. I'm going a bit far with that. It's not trash, it's okay. Mediocre. Let's go with that. We'll go mediocre. It's mediocre at best. And probably the only thing that I didn't like about the Pixel 6. Google have had the sense to improve that fingerprint reader for the 6a, which is very wise considering that this is the phone that most people will use. So good on Google for doing that. And hopefully they'll, update the phone soon to have face unlock as well. In terms of that internal gubbins, you are getting the same Tensor SoC in the 6a as you do in the Pixel 6, which is fantastic. And you're only getting 2GB less RAM. So 6GB in the Pixel 6a and 8GB in the Pixel 6. In all honesty, I don't think that's going to be of any noticeable difference. And both of these come with 128GB of storage. If you're in the US, you do have the option on the Pixel 6 of 256GB of storage. So onto the cameras. The camera systems are very similar. The 6a has got a dual 12 megapixel setup on the rear. So you've got the 12 megapixel main camera and 12 megapixel ultra wide. And that's going to be a very similar experience to previous Pixels. So something like the Pixel 5. It's going to be a near identical camera setup and experience. The only difference being is that now that we've got Tensor involved, all the new features that came with the Pixel 6, such as Magic Eraser, you will also have on the Pixel 6a, which is really nice. And let's face it, the older Pixels still compete with the best smartphones out there to this day. They are that good. So nobody's going to have any issues with photos on that phone. The main difference with the Pixel 6 is that it has the 50 megapixel sensor for its main camera on the back, which is a really nice upgrade. It's a big sensor upgrade. It lets in more light, and it gives you more of a depth of field effect as well when you get a little bit more up close to a subject. So much better if you're really into your photography and you like toying around with things a little bit more. You're going to enjoy the Pixel 6 more than the 6a, I'm sure. However, if you are a casual user, what you might find is that you prefer the Pixel 6a, and there's very good reason for that. So the Pixel 6 with that bigger sensor, as I've said, has more of a depth of field effect, but it can be a bit tricky when you're getting a little bit close up to a subject. Say you're taking pictures of some food. Sometimes part of the food can be in focus, and a lot of the food can be out of focus, and sometimes people don't like that. In fact, I've had complaints with photos that I've taken and posted on Twitter from people, and these are techie people, not just casual users, who said that the photo's blurry. But it's not that it's blurry, it's just that part of it's blurry because of that really narrow focus and depth of field effect from the Pixel 6's bigger sensor. Now, a lot of the time when you're taking a similar picture with the smaller sensors, such as those on the Pixel 6a, more of that food will be in focus, quite likely, depending on how close you get. And it can sometimes result in a nicer shot or a more pleasing shot for most people. So for very casual users that don't understand how that works, the Pixel 6a is going to be the better option. So it's definitely worth keeping that in mind, especially when you're recommending it to family and friends and, you know, people who don't really know what they're doing with cameras. They just point and shoot. They don't want to mess around with anything else. The 6a is going to be fantastic for that. So selfie camera as well is identical on both phones. In terms of video, we have 1080p 30 from that selfie cam on both phones. A little bit weak. I was expecting 1080p 60, but I'll let it go. I mean, it's a cheap phone. We're getting a lot for the money. When it comes to the rear cameras, we can get 4K 60 on the 6a and the Pixel 6. And the 6a should handle that like a champ, just like the Pixel 6 does. And that's good. That's a very nice feature to have for a phone that starts at $399. Very good feature to have. Again, though, if you're using the Pixel 6, you are going to have that bigger sensor still if you're using the main camera, so you will have a little bit more depth of field on that video. And it is actually very nice video. So both phones are totally protected against dust, and they do have water resistance as well. Both can be, you know, taken for a dunk in the bath if you so choose, or, you know, used outside in the rain if need be. You won't have an issue. The rating on the Pixel 6 is slightly higher than the Pixel 6a, but it's a negligible difference that most people aren't going to have to worry about. When it comes to the software, you've got 3 years of OS updates and 5 years of security updates, and that's for both phones. You've got to remember that once the Pixel 6a comes out, Pixel 6 will have been out for 9 months. So you're going to get 9 months less security updates on the Pixel 6 than you will do on the 6a if you buy them around the same time. Obviously, that still means you've got well over 4 years of security updates on a Pixel 6, which I'd be surprised if most people don't change their phones by then. But it's there as an option if you want it, and if you want it to go as long as possible, the 6a is going to go further into the future. So here in the UK, the Pixel 6a is being sold for £399, which is really competitive. And the Pixel 6 is actually now down at £499, so we've got a £100 difference. And the pricing is quite similar in the US as well. The Pixel 6a is starting at $449. So the pricing is pretty close. And I do think you get quite a lot more with the Pixel 6 compared to the 6a. It's also worth noting you get things like wireless charging included on the Pixel 6 that you don't get on the 6a. There's a lot there to like, but it comes down to whether you really need those features and if they're actually beneficial to you. What do you think? Which is more suitable for you? I think both phones are fantastic options, but is the 6a something that you are more likely to recommend to family and friends than the Pixel 6, would you say? Or is the Pixel 6 worth the extra expenditure to you? Let me know down below in the comments, and stay tuned for further Pixel content. Until then, stay grounded, and I'll see you on the next one.